Yes, Arcadia land development. So we're talking about discussion of subdivision of open space A and associated sewage planning waiver. It sounds like a lot, but Carol, our engineer, will explain what that's all about. This is something we've talked about in the past. And
I'm coming
what
back.
we're here about tonight is, as I understand it, pretty much a formality to trying to fix a problem that occurred a long time ago.
So, what we're talking about tonight is not actually anything to do with the developer of Arcadia. So if it appeared that way on the agenda, I apologize. What we're talking about today is the open space portion of Arcadia, and that is being dedicated to the township. And we're talking about a plan of subdivision that cuts it in two on paper. And the reason is, you might recall, I gave a presentation some time back about Coble Park and the history of Coble Park, that some of it was purchased with a grant, and DCNR slapped the wrists of the township because the township put some of the maintenance shed on this parkland. So we, as a township, had to re-subdivide Coble Park to fix that problem so that there wouldn't be township maintenance buildings on the parkland. And then also provide replacement lands. I know it seems like a lot, but this is the federal government. We had to provide a replacement parcel that isn't already used for recreation, is suitable for public recreation, and can be permanently preserved for public recreation. So at that point, this subdivision, which we now call Arcadia, was before the township, and this open space parcel, we said, hey developer, instead of giving that to the homeowners association, give that to Lower Frederick Township. So that's why this is happening. So the subdivision was done for Coble Park, and the township hired an appraiser to appraise this area for the transfer of land. And this area, to make a long story short, was too expensive. It was too valuable. So we've had to split this area into two parcels, so that only part of it would be donated to the federal program, the other part would not. It's convoluted, but again, we're dealing with federal regulations. So to split that parcel, the most cost-effective way to do it wasn't for the township to pay me to do it, because I would have had to resurvey all that and develop all new plans. The most cost-effective way was actually to go out to the engineer who did that Arcadia subdivision. It's Wilkinson and Associates, and the contractor, the township entered a small contract with them to do this plan of subdivision, since they already had all this survey data and lines and drawings. So what you're looking at right now is a plan of subdivision that was prepared by Wilkinson and Associates. It has been reviewed by us relative to the township ordinances, and that's what I'm going to walk through tonight. The plan that's before you actually, I believe, is a newer plan since my review, where the engineer addressed many of my comments. So some of these may be in doubt, may be moved by now. But we have a short letter from Value Engineering dated October 2nd, and we've got a total of 7 comments on the letter. The first comment, if the Planning Commission is prepared for this, the first comment is actually about a minor plan of subdivision. So this was prepared as a minor plan of subdivision, which means it's not as complex as a full plan of subdivision. But technically, it can't be a minor subdivision because it was part of a previous approved subdivision during the 5 years prior. This is in our subdivision code, and open space, a waiver for processing this as a minor plan would be beneficial to moving this plan along. So I would start by requesting that the applicant, that the the Planning Commission consider a waiver of subdivision land development section 145-18 to permit review of this project as a minor subdivision.
You want to just go through the whole thing?
I'll go through the whole thing. Sure. The second comment was the plan date should be provided, and I'm sure that's a will comply. The next comment is the road name Snoopy Lane should be added to the plan. There it is, Snoopy Lane.
You can't change it?
No, well, I don't have that power.
I think we have a better name than City Lane, yeah,
Another was the right of way and parkway widths be dimensioned. I'm sure they did that. The existing tree masses should be shown on the plan. I'm assuming that's a will comply, and yeah, it looks like they've added some tree masses here. The dimensions along Ziglarville Road should be adjusted. The location map should be corrected. So all of these are really drafting things that I would anticipate their engineer is taking care of here. The first question, and of course we'll be looking for a review from the Montgomery County Planning Commission. I don't know that that's been generated yet.
It is in processing.
It's in process.
System.
Okay, and you love the plan, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, the last thing, and the next thing on your agenda is actually the sewage planning for this. Since this is being split into 2 lots, that triggers the requirement for sewage facility planning. But this is not a building lot, so we have generated a form called a request for non-building declaration for a waiver, and that form was provided to the Planning Commission. I have a copy here tonight as well, to be signed by a planning agency official, wherein you acknowledge that the described use of parcels here and proposed must be consistent with the zoning, land use ordinances, and comprehensive plans for the area involved in the proposed subdivision by signature of the designated official. Lower Frederick Township Planning Commission has reviewed the information submitted requesting a non-building waiver and has found this request to be consistent with applicable plans and ordinances administered by this agency, and that it is not part of a subdivision that proposes new sewage generating structures. So we'll be asking for a signature for that tonight. So the request tonight is number 1, a recommendation for a waiver from that section 145-18 of the code to allow this to be processed as a minor subdivision. Number 2 would be a recommendation for preliminary and final subdivision approval conditioned upon compliance with this letter and any comments that may be received from the Montgomery County Planning Commission. And third would be endorsement of the non-building declaration for this project.
Start with the first one. I don't have the paper in front of me, but it is, what's your vote number on this?
140, chapter 135-18.
All right, so just to make this easier, I will make a motion that we do a waiver for the section 145-18 of our subdivision and land development ordinance.
I'll second.
Aye. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The vote is unanimous, is that correct?
Correct.
That's number 1. I don't know if that.
Just keep going.
Number 2.
Number 2 would be recommendation for preliminary and final approval conditioned upon compliance with the October 2nd letter from Value Engineering and any comments received from the Montgomery County Planning Commission.
I'll move that.
Did you get that one? Ernie,
Yes, you second.
I'll second it. 3. Phrase.
Endorsement of the non-building declaration for sewage plant.
Yes.
I'll move that.
Motion to get the endorsement for the
Non-building declaration.
non-building declaration for sewage plant. Basically, we're saying that this is never going to be built on, so we're not doing sewer.
There's a signature by either you or the secretary on the last page.
Okay. So, Ernie made the motion, I will second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous? Fine. I will sign. Now, does that also need the secretary or just me?
Just one signature.
You first, and then this, you keep full on. I will leave it next to the recorder so I don't forget to do it. Okay, that's item 2. Item number 3, discussion of subdivision, perhaps easement options for the Reynolds property, that's on 139 Spring Mount Road. That is just down the street from where we are sitting right now. So it's my understanding that Tom Reynolds, who is, I think he told me he's 90, he's doing some estate planning. Better than that. And he has shown an interest in thinking about splitting off part of his property along the creek and seeing whether there's any interest from the township to find a way that the township would perhaps take ownership. Which button is it, Carol?
Middle button should be a red dot.
Oh, no, maybe it's in front of that. So we're talking about this piece here. And there's his home right there. He intends on, he kind of drew a line kind of across here. And then here is our old sewer plant. Here is the excavation for our new sewer plant. You see that they're actually still working at that. So that's all I know. I mean, Phil, you may know more than I do.
Not much. I did have a conversation with Mr. Reynolds, and he was willing to be flexible and look at it from all possibilities. He actually first went to the county, and the county had looked at it as a possible acquisition, and their board, their open space board, did not favor it. So that kind of put it into that exploration on the Reynolds part. And the county representative for open space at the planning commission mentioned it as an option for Lord Frederick to look at. And I said, well, I couldn't speak for the township, but I'll talk to Mr. Reynolds and see whether he can enter a conversation with our township. And he said he was quite willing to do that, and he was excited about some of the possibilities that it might provide for the township. I think I should point out that, to the right of that property across Main Street there lies Foy Park. Could you indicate that to the public? Here, yeah. So it actually, has a common border with the existing Foy Park. And of course, that area has always had kind of a recreational use, not Foy Park per se, but the Reynolds property, they had kind of a, I guess it was a camping operation that they had available. And all his life, Mr. Reynolds has been kind of an outdoor advocate. So I think he would like to, believe that the property would have a benefit for the township as a area that could be enjoyed by the public in the future. So that's about all I really can add at this particular time. I know that Mark Hudson, our township manager, has had a conversation with him. And of course, that all this whole thing is contingent upon, you don't get funding. We don't have existing funding at the township level to purchase this, but we could perhaps look at, county transportation grant programs that might be able to fund this, or
We don't
Possibly
have a dollar
going out.
value, but we don't have a dollar value currently.
no, it hasn't gone to appraisal even at this particular time. It's sort of conceptual at this time. So that's about all I can really add to the conversation. Other than, I will mention that, you know, when it was considered the cabin craft property, at that time I think it was about 12 acres, it was set as a high priority acquisition for the township. So that would have been reflected as early as our 1995, maybe a little later, you know, priority acquisition areas. I think we also mentioned it maybe in there in 2006.
We're not looking at purchasing the whole property of cabin cranes.
No,
That's a particular say back then it was,
That's this one here.
yeah, before that was taken out. it
You're
was-
just talking about the railroad easement, basically.
Well, I mean,
Is that a road it is?
this needs this funny shaped thing.
Yeah.
That total, in total.
And then draw a line across.
Yeah, I know.
Behind the house.
I mean, from a planning perspective, I see opportunities there for one of our long-desired goals to create safe passage from our high-density townhome area to Foy Park and the Perkiomen Trail. I think that's a wonderful opportunity if we could somehow or other manage to, you know, figure a way to do that. It provides a big piece in that goal, if you will. Yeah, I guess.
Pam.
Since I live along there, and I've been back there, one of the reasons why the house is up a little bit higher than that lower part you're talking about is because it's significant floodplain, and that's why they put the sewer treatment plant up. So how much value would be attached to land like that?
Probably not much.
Not much, but that was the same conversation we had when we acquired Foy Park. Foy Park is a floodplain, and, you know, it became a significant and beneficial property for the township to own, and it's encumbered, of course, by being part of a floodplain too. So it's not necessarily looking at it from the perspective of, you know, what can we build there, but it's, you know, how can we utilize it, you know, and, you know, at times where it wouldn't be accessible. I can't imagine that you're going to put a soccer field in there, per se, or something, but,
No.
you know, I haven't really looked at it specifically.
Are you looking to get grants for that, or?
We would have to, yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to-
Because I would hate to see us spending money on something like this if we're hesitant to spend money in other things in the
Yeah.
township.
No, we would have to get a grant. I mean, there would probably be a small county match. It could be, what, 20%? I don't know, what's the county match?
For our
I'm
county.
sorry. Do you know what the match is typically at county percentage-wise for the implementation?
No, off the top of my head,
Well, we would need to find that out.
We need to value and then have to go to the appraisal.
Right.
One of the things that it could be used for, right now, I know some kayakers, they would look to put, you know, kayaks in they can't go in by Foy Park because the dam. And there's the next access is down at Plank.
Right next to the bridge.
Yeah.
They couldn't access it when they reached the bridge.
Okay.
And then there's
Time out for
access.
it.
There's an access in Schweinsville. Schweinsville's just redeveloped the meadow and put in a boat ramp. And I think Warren would remember the Perkiomen Valley Water Perkiomen Water Conservancy, Watershed Conservancy, gave a presentation here. They've done a trail study, a water trail study, and they did mention Foy Park in that particular document. It's available online. The study is complete. Again, with you have to put portage around the dam, and they say that Foy Park wasn't a good access point because of the dam. So the Reynolds property, or even extending down to like the former site of where our former sewer plant used to be, would
Access there.
areas to put in.
There's people drop those in the sewer there all the time.
Yeah, so, yeah, and then you have the driveway, you almost already have the infrastructure there, you have the driveway, you have the
better location.
area you could just get down there.
Well, you know, Tom was pretty open-ended in terms of his feelings. I mean, to be honest with you, he just had, when I ran into him, he brought it up out of the blue. And he really wanted people to be able to use the ground. That was kind of what I took away from it. It was like, well, you know, I'm able to think about anything. That's kind of the way the conversation went. So I guess the point here, this discussion tonight is to see whether there's interest and what, you know, recognizing it's going to be a wet area, so if you're going to put anything, a walking path there, you got to put it in so that it can tolerate some water once in a while when the creek overflows.
You got legal issues, if you're gonna have people near the sewer.
Yeah, you have to
And you
get
have
out
sewer
there.
right away runs through there.
You know, do you really want people going back there? Maybe not, right? You would maybe have, or you'd have to put more fortification in so people can't get themselves into trouble. That's an option, I don't know.
Well, we've heard numerous times from the public, you know, how dangerous it is walking along Spring Mountain Road. And this is one way in which we can facilitate a safe, at least the consideration of a safe means for the highly desirable access to the Perkiomen Trail, which a lot of people enjoy, as well as Wood Park. So I think that, you know, again, as Chuck pointed out, this is kind of conceptual. I think it needs to be looked at seriously from, you know, the mechanical end of accomplishing it. But I think that personally, I will say that I think it's well worth the township's, you know, investigation, if you will, because if that was lost to that potential in the future, I think, you know, there might be a time where we say, you know, wow, why didn't we? And I think that, you know, now's the time to be serious about, you know, engaging Mr. Reynolds and seeing where this thing will go.
Yeah, I think part of the trick here is that we're not looking at, I mean, if we do decide, the township decides they're interested in this parcel or some of it, obviously you have to slice off Tom's house. We're not talking about taking access through the township and down like this. That's not what we're talking about. It would be, if any access were created, it would probably be across village to existing sidewalk in the township, and then there would be a short section of sidewalk between where the township sidewalk ends and the firehouse property, and somehow try to get in up here and come down and find access.
You wouldn't go in Tom Reynolds' driveway.
Well, his driveway is like over here, so, I mean, his driveway is,
It's right next to the firehouse.
Yeah.
It's on the other side of the driveway.
it's possible too, but all I'm trying to say is just from Tom's, I'm not thinking about, I don't think we're thinking about trying to move people down and around.
No, we can't.
That's not an option.
Now, the easiest way would be to go through this building and down the sewage. We have a sewage that runs.
If you can't go behind our neighbor's property.
We're not going behind the
We're
lady
not going
property.
behind the neighbor's property. You have to go up further, that's the issue. And we know what problems we ran into trying to get sidewalk built on